Welcome, you guys. It is hotter than hell here in Texas. I wish I were in Colorado. So I feel like I need to be incognito today. I feel like I'm going to be in trouble, and the little devil is fun. So just go ahead. It'll be fine. And the little angel's going, I wouldn't do that if I were you. That is not a good idea. And the little devil says, listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. It'll be fine. People want to talk about these things. And the angel is going, no, they don't want to talk about these things. So I'm nervous. I'm scratching my palm. I'm nervous because I'm thinking, do I really want to do this? But I do want to do it. I do, damn it. I do. All right. All right, everybody. I hope that you guys have had a really, really great, remarkable, wonderful Sunday. And tonight, well, we're going to talk a little bit about Dr. John Forsyth from Missouri. And there have actually been some fairly incredible development, well, maybe not developments, but new information that's come out that just sort of left me, my jaw hanging open. I mean, it's really pretty remarkable. So we're going to talk about this interview, but before we do that, I kind of want to go through this, kind of pulling this information together. So welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it so much. And so let me just kind of go over and review the information that I've pulled together from some other sources, and then we'll do the interview that came out recently, because 6 months ago, 4 months ago, we all felt a little bit uncomfortable with Dr. Forsyth's brother, the family spokesman, I suppose, Richard, correct? And in a lot of ways, well, it's like an elephant in the room. Would y'all say that that's fair? Let me ask this question, because I'm trying to get a handle. I've read the boards. I know what people are saying, but I'm just curious about you guys specifically. If you watch some of these older interviews with Richard Forsyth, he came out immediately when John first disappeared. 9 days later, some kayakers found his body floating in Beaver Lake in Arkansas. And then he came out again after they had found the body and did some more rounds of interviews, correct? Question for everybody in the channel. Did you feel like perhaps Richard, family spokesman, might not have been being exactly factual in some of the things being said? Or did his story leave you feeling a little unsettled, right? Now, I'm not saying, I think he did it, or I'm not making those assertions, but just that watching felt like something was off, right? Something's weird. So if you've watched these earlier interviews 6 months ago, 4 months ago, if you found it to be uncomfortable, that maybe there was another story underneath the surface that Richard wasn't being forthright about, put a 1. If you thought that his interviews were great and you felt relaxed and comfortable and it all made sense, then put a 2. I'm just a little curious how you guys feel. Hey, Lise, too fast and way too much information, in my opinion. Yeah. Hey, Mimi, how are you doing? Okay, so look. Hi, voices. Hey, Cinnamon, hot. Hey, Joseph, Christine, how are you? DB, my friend, how are you doing? All right. T, please, welcome. Okay, so you guys, we're all kind of on the same page. Elise says so much. Okay, so we're all kind of on the same page, right? Okay. Well, I can promise you this. When we get finished with this live today, you are not going to feel any better about Richard Forsyth. I promise you that. Hey, Meezer Mom, Blissful Elixir, welcome. Good to see you guys. This is, hey, Sundown Farms. This is a very, very curious fellow. This is an even more curious case. And in many ways, as I'm kind of going through and collecting as much information as I can, I keep going back to the Adelson family, right? Donna, Harvey, Wendy, Charlie, keep going back to them. And this same, is this a repeat of, relationships gone bad, resources, misappropriation of resources, and then, compulsion for revenge? Is it the same horrible story that happened in Florida now being played out on the Missouri-Arkansas state line? That's what I keep going back to, that, right? Where you have these love relationships that go wrong. There's children, there's finances, there's houses, businesses. One group's got more money than the other group, and a final fateful ugly act of revenge. And what does God say? Revenge is mine, right? You go for revenge, you better dig 2 graves, one for your victim and one for you. So it is an incredible story. And it's going to be even more incredible when we get to the end of this live tonight. That is a promise. This is just the most unbelievable thing. So let me go through my facts first and some information that I've sort of pulled together that has left me thinking. Here's my impression. I'm just going to say, I'm going to act like I'm speaking to Mr. Forsyth himself. Okay. First of all, being in this whole true crime, YouTube community, the most innocent among us know you should never speak without an attorney present. Never. And in the movie World War Z with Mr. McCarty, right? What does he say? How does he end up defeating all the zombies? The brilliant virologist says, a virus, she is a bitch. And the one thing that makes her seem unconquerable, the one thing that makes her seem impossible to destroy, it ends up being her downfall. The very thing that Brad Pitt uses to then save the world. And that is that if he injects himself with a disease, then the zombies will not bite him out of self-preservation. So my advice is this: the very thing that you may think is what's going to save you, the very thing that you wear as your armor, Mr. Forsyth, may actually be the exact thing that brings you down. And it is this: I believe that you are incredibly intelligent, and you very likely are, but that you're more intelligent than the officers that are investigating what happened to the young doctor. I think that you believe that you are so incredibly intelligent that you are going to be able to manage anything that comes out of their investigation. Kind of like Wendy Adelson and Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson. They all thought, we can handle this, we can deal with this, we'll get away with this scot-free. They always catch you. And you have been making the rounds, doing these interviews all over the place for the past 4 months with no attorney anywhere in sight. So my advice, based on some new information that's come out in the past month or 6 weeks, please get you an attorney, like a criminal attorney, ASAP, because there's a lot of trouble here. All right, this is a friendly message because I've seen this. It's going to get really scary. It's going to get really scary. Okay, here we go. So John Forsyth is an ER physician, and he gets off of work at about 7 a.m. on the morning of May the 21st, 2023. The last people to talk to him, or the last person that is known to have been in communication with him, was Laura Barnett, who is the baby mama to little Audrey. And he says to her, I'll see you in a minute, right? I don't remember the exact verbiage, but I'll be right there. See you in a little while. Gonna be there. Now he lives in $150,000, $200,000 luxury RV called a Thor Challenger. And he parks it there at the emergency room to stay in because this man is working, I think something like 60 to 100 hours a week. So he does 12 hours, then he's off 6 hours, and he does another 12 hours. And one must ask oneself, but why? Why are you working those types of hours? You are featured in Forbes Magazine as a crypto multi-millionaire, not because of ONFO coin, but because you bought Bitcoin a month after it was first offered. Because you bought Bitcoin on the ground floor and you rode it all the way up into destiny. So this guy is Dr. John Forsyth was actually featured in Forbes Magazine, and he's worth millions, literal millions. So it's very curious to me, in a town of 3,000 people, although the hospital itself does serve a wider area of several different counties, that you've got a doctor who is working ungodly numbers of hours. He certainly doesn't need that financially. So that is my first question mark. What's going on? Why you're working these hours like this makes no sense. Okay. Second curious thing about his job is it would appear that he was planning on leaving his job. It seemed that he was in the final stages of moving, I believe, to Springfield, where he would then work local in Springfield and not be making this drive, to the rural communities. And perhaps this was a part of him building a life with the super duper extra secret baby mama, right? Because the most bizarre part of this story is that he's got this enormous family. He's got his mom and dad. His dad is very well educated. His dad is a clinical psychologist. The mother is a domestic goddess. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm saying, no, she's a true domestic goddess. She dresses to the nines. She's uber feminine. She embraces that female gender role. And she does videos and teaches other women how to have the perfect home and how to have the perfect body and how to have the perfect relationship with their husband. She is a domestic goddess. And they have all these children, John and Richard being two of, I think it's 6. I could be wrong about that number, but I think it's 6. And then there is John himself, who is from Idaho. Guess where his children live? Yes, they live in Rexburg, where it's 93% Mormon. So those of you that are keeping up a little tally book for Mormon murders, you're going to have to put this one in that book, okay? Because this is coming straight out of Rexburg, Idaho. Who can make this up? It's almost like we're being punked again. I feel the same way with Donna Adelson. I think we're being punked. Just like with Lori Vallow, she goes on Wheel of Fortune. Guess who else was on Wheel of Fortune? Yes, Donna Adelson. It's weird. It's just, for once, why can't we have one of these families coming out of Kansas? Anybody live in Connecticut that is committing these horrible crimes? Well, anyway, maybe it has something to do with the elevation of the Rocky Mountains. Who knows? So anyway, Rexburg again. Exactly, PT. That is exactly right. She's not sporting the God help me bun on top of her head. Oh no. She's teaching women how to be nice to their men. That is what she does. So, go back to my notes. So, John Forsyth marries the same woman twice, and they proceed to have 8 children. And the ex-wife, the children, they're in Idaho. And in the weeks before the grand announcement about the super duper secret BabyMomma, she is awarded a monthly stipend that will be paid by the good doctor of $19,000, $5,000 for child support, and the remaining $14,000 somehow calculated from the whole crypto thing. So she gets a piece of that pie, right? Okay. He didn't care. He didn't fight it. His attorney said, great, we're good with this. No problem. And the huge family, 8 children, ex-wife, everybody's happy. Or were they? Okay, that is the big question. So the good doctor then trots off back to Missouri, Arkansas, and he's working like a demon, and he's trying to, make right. He's got this super duper elite luxury model BabyMomma, 39 years old. And he's going to set up house. They're going to have this baby. And baby number 9 for the good doctor. Okay. And Laura is a beautiful, beautiful woman. Well, so he goes missing May the 21st, 2023. 9 days later, a kayaker who is in Beaver Lake, is about 20 miles south of where he disappeared from, but it's across state lines. This area, it's around Hot Springs, Branson, Missouri. It's that area. It's a big vacation area, right? Lots of people go to that area to hang out in the woods and, relax and whatnot. So he's found floating in Beaver Lake, which is a really popular destination in that part of the country. It's a really popular destination for people to go. And it wasn't like it was some secret little lake out in the woods that few people rarely go to. This is a destination. There would be a lot of people there. So certainly his body would be found. So it wasn't like they were trying to hide him, right? So he's found floating in the water. He has a gunshot wound to the back of his head. And I have recently learned that no one in the family saw the body. That the body was identified, or they verified that this in fact was Dr. John Forsyth by some sort of a facial reconstruction artificial intelligence program, right? So maybe something that the coroner had or the hospital had available, that Richard said, he would never be able to survive had he seen his brother, and nobody wanted to see the body. Well, first of all, that seems a little off. Put a 1. If you think that sounds perfectly normal, put a 2. Because I really believe if somebody that I love dearly met by terrible accident and died, and they said, no, we don't need you to verify the body. We're going to let a computer verify that is you, or that is your loved one. I'm thinking I would not be very happy with that. I'm thinking I would say, oh, no, we're not going to do that. Someone who knows my loved one needs to put eyes on them. We need to verify this is 100% on, up on level, and that there's no misunderstanding here. So apparently it was some kind of facial recognition or facial reconstructions software to verify that that's him, and a single tattoo. Well, here's the problem I have. How many people knew about the tattoo? Like, how many people knew that there was a tattoo there? You would think his brother Richard would know. I'm sure that Laura knows. I'm sure the ex-wife knows. Probably the dad knows. And so it's sort of like, well, if you're going to use a tattoo, what if somebody's trying to trick you? Maybe it's not him. Maybe it's somebody who's trying to be him, and they got killed, but he's on the lam. So there's a little bit of question. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it gets worse. So that was kind of number 1 on my list for Scooby-Doo moments. What? Nobody identified him at all? Like it was done with the computer? So I was really shocked by that. So the next thing is he went missing on the 21st. His body was found floating in the water on the 30th. The baby was born almost 4 weeks to the day from the time that he was found. So the baby is born at the very end of June, like the 25th or 28th, something along those lines. Now he had only gotten engaged to the girlfriend 3 days before he went missing. So on the 18th. So May the 18th, he decides to tell someone in the family, hey, I got a baby mama. I'm quitting my local job. I'm moving to the city with my baby mama, and I'm going to live happily ever after there. And that's that. So he finds out, or he tells his brother, apparently, and then we would assume also the mother and the father, because Richard does an original interview back when all this first happened. And if you remember, in that video, he says that his brother made arrangements to make Richard the guy of the crypto empire, Forsyth crypto empire, that Richard would be now at the helm. And he kept using those buzzwords, oh, continuity of management and continuity of business. Oh, my brother was, very intelligent and very brilliant. And he made sure that everybody was accounted for and that everything was taken care of. And I was to take over everything should something happen to him. And then he went to my mother and he gave my mother, the domestic goddess, a very generous gift. And we don't know what that was, but that's the way it was described. A very generous gift. The problem is that now, today, apparently, no one can find the will or the paperwork that says Richard is my main man. Richard is going to take over the empire. Should something happen to me, my multi-million-dollar fortune will then be managed by Richard. If you find this to be vaguely uncomfortable, put a 1. If you think it sounds perfectly normal, put a 2. Yeah, exactly, Blonde PT. It is a crazy, crazy story. It's as crazy as the Adelson story. There you go. Look at all these people. It just is nuts. Okay. So we got a dead doctor who's featured in Forbes Magazine, who's bought Bitcoin on, the ground floor and just rode it all the way to the moon. So he's running around being all spiffy and rich, and yet he's working 60, 80, 100 hours a week. What? Why are you working those hours when it's a rural hospital? Why are you doing that? So it's very curious. The whole story is so off. It's off, right? Well, Leanne, we're getting there because now Richard has brought that up as well. All right. So 3 days before he goes missing, he tells Richard, I got a woman and she's pregnant and we're going to ride off into the sunset together and live happily ever after. And by the way, if something happens to me, I'm going to give you everything, Richard. You get everything, Richard. Okay. Now, I don't know why Richard doesn't do his own thing. I don't know. He also describes himself. This is from Richard's mouth. One of the reasons why I think Richard needs a damn attorney. He says, and I quote, well, I was John's bag man. I was the guy that he hired to do the unpleasant, distasteful things that he didn't want to do related to the business. So right there, he's telling you he's just a hanger on, right? That John is the one who built this fortune. And I guess he's just given Richard a job. Now, Richard's supposed to be like this mathematical genius, I suppose, right? But it's getting weird. I mean, we're not even to the ultimate weird part. It's just a little weird so far. Okay, so I think it's very odd that Richard is acting as family spokesman or spokesperson because his dad or their dad is a clinical psychologist and he would be accustomed to communicating effectively with large audiences, correct? So I'm a little curious why his father has not spoken out, because his father is a really highly well-regarded person in the community, in the church. I mean, he's well known. So it seems odd to me that Richard's making all these interviews and he's, this family picture where they're all standing in a line And Richard's right in the middle of them. And I thought, gosh, that looks so much like circling the wagons. You know, those water buffalo, you know how those water buffalo, they circle around the little baby buffalo and they put all their butts together so that it's only horns that are sticking out to fight against the lions or whatever. It's kind of what it looked like. It was kind of like, look at Richard right in the middle of all of us, and we are all standing, you know, arm in arm, side by side, together, invincible. But only one is talking. And he's saying some unusual things. And he does say that the police have said to him, Richard, we know more than you think we do. Now, he's admitting this in an interview. The cops told Richard, according to him, we, the law enforcement, we know more than you think we do. Does that sound good to anyone? Like, does that sound like there's positive days ahead for Mr. Forsyth? Does it seem like things are going to go well? Or should he hire an attorney? I'm thinking get one fast, like yesterday, right? So, here we go with another mic drop moment. So Mr. Forsyth was asked to take a polygraph test. Hey, thank you, Black Rose. I appreciate that. You know what I'm going to do with it, Black Rose? I'm going to buy some more white Karo syrup to make some more divinity. So thank you so much. Okay, so yes, exactly, Blonde PT. Exactly. Okay, so yes, it does seem that Richard Forsyth was asked to take a polygraph test. Did y'all know that? If you knew that he had been asked or that he had taken a polygraph test, put a 1. Leanne says, I promise you, he has a Google search worth looking at. We need to do that, Cinnamon. It was wonderful. We had so much fun today. Yeah, we had a good time. Me and Bill made divinity. Yeah, so the man took a polygraph, believe it or not. Here's the second reason why I'm saying, Richard, please go get you an attorney immediately. Like, it may be too late, but do it anyway. Yeah. So they approached him. They said, we need you to do a polygraph. He agrees to take the polygraph. Let's just see what everybody thinks. If you believe that Richard Forsyth passed the polygraph, put a 1. If you think that Richard failed the polygraph, put a 2. And I wish I had some Jeopardy music while we wait for everybody to vote. So he passed it is a 1. He failed it, that's a 2. Dun, 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 dun. Lise is forever the optimist. You're very kind, Lise. You're very sweet. Yeah, the rest of us in the room, the eternal skeptics, yeah, he did not pass it, people. He failed it like a big dog. All right. Richard, go get an attorney and stop talking, for God's sake. Quit doing these interviews. Stop. Okay. He failed. And what's worse is that when he failed it, they told him that they believed that he was intentionally, hey, Moonlight View, welcome. He intentionally, this is what the cops told Richard, that he intentionally tried to trick the polygraph. Do you think this looks good for Richard, or do you think that he really should have gotten an attorney 6 months ago? So he failed it. And after he failed it, they told him, we know you took steps to try and trick the polygraph. And then guess what? Richard turns around and says, he turns around and says, yes, I did. I tried to trick it. He admitted it. Yes, Martian. Yes, Shalimar. Exactly. What did I start this video saying? I talked about World War Z and the zombies and Mr. McHottie, Brad Pitt, figuring out that the one thing that made the virus so dangerous was really the one thing that was its weakness, right? That the virus would not attack someone with cancer or some other kind of disease, that the zombie just somehow knew that that host had an illness and it would not bite the person. And so he injected himself with something. I don't even remember what disease it was, maybe smallpox or something. So he injects himself with some disease and he walks right through the middle of them and they don't do anything to him. And I envision Richard doing that, thinking, I'm so much smarter than all these zombies. I can totally walk right through and they're never going to know. And he takes their polygraph. He believes that he can trick the polygraph and he is busted. Still does not have an attorney. Crazy story, isn't it? It's a really crazy story. So finally, when we get to this part about the cops saying to Richard, hey, we know everything. We know everything. You may think we don't, but we do. We know everything. And Richard says, the cops are not talking to the family. The cops have not interviewed any of the sisters of John, but they've gone back and they've talked to and interviewed Richard multiple times. And there is this problem with the Bitcoin. There's this problem with the business that Richard claims that he was working with his brother John. Oh, by the way, I don't know how I could forget this. You know how everybody said, gosh, the man had 5 or 6 cell phones, burner phones. Why in the world would a doctor, a multi-millionaire doctor, why would he need like 5 or 6 phones? Like, what's that about? Right? And someone in here a while ago said, oh, maybe it was drugs. Maybe he's fooling around with drugs somehow. Like everybody said, Charlie Adelson was selling some kind of steroids or something. So it was like, what if it was drugs? Oh, yeah. Richard clears that up for us, y'all. So Richard lets us know, actually, and yet again, Richard's the only one that knows this. No one else in the family knows this. Just Richard. Richard's the only one. Just like Richard's the only one that knows. He's the one that John decided to give the keys to the kingdom to. Nobody else knows that Richard's supposed to have the keys to the kingdom. But he did tell Richard that within hours before he went missing. He tells Richard that he needs to find drugs. John Forsyth, emergency room physician, tells his brother Richard, I need to find something like ayahuasca, some kind of hallucinogenic. Guess why? Just hang on to your socks for this one. There's a reason for this. Because John was working on this super duper secret, just massive, tricky, dicky, just key to solving a Bitcoin or a crypto coin problem. Nobody knows what he's talking about. Nobody knows what Richard's saying. But he speaks like in these big, powerful words and concepts and ideas. Like the rest of us are just so ridiculously dumb. But he has all the answers, and they're lofty, increased, high floating clouds. And he says, yes, my brilliant mathematician brother, just all he cared about was just solving this problem in the crypto technology. And that he thought if he took illegal drugs, he's an ER physician, if he took illegal drugs, hallucinogenics, that would expand his mind and the solution would come to him from the ether world. And the cop said, you know what, Richard? You're full of shit. We know more than you think we do. No, I don't know if that's when they said it, but it sounded really good. It's very dramatic, right? Okay. So this is the way the man talks, right? He talks like everyone else in the room is dumb, and that somehow John was this, I don't know what you would call him, this savant, just this mathematical, out of touch savant who couldn't relate to people and had no use for work or mundane types of tasks. And now this ER physician is searching for illegal hallucinogenics so that he can just lay out on the bed like a big dog and just open up his arms as wide as he could spread them and say, come on, God, hit me with some truth, brother. It's ridiculous. This is a man who worked his ass off to get through medical school. Do you really believe that someone like that is going to take an illegal drug that may be, I don't know, it may have something bad in it, right? Could have fentanyl in it. Who knows? It's illegal. But he's going to take this as if his multi-millions is not already enough, as if he's not about to have a little baby born into the world, little girl born into the world, this beautiful woman that he is madly in love with. She's very active. She runs a blog site for nurses and things like that. And he's just going to put all of that in jeopardy. 8 children in Idaho, a mom and dad that he loved to the ends of the earth, and sisters that he loved to the ends of the earth. This little beautiful precious baby about to be born, a great job opportunity. He's just going to throw all of that away so that he can take an illegal drug and lay in the damn Challenger and hope that God sends him a special message. Good Lord. If you are believing that, if that sounds even remotely possible, put a 1. If you think, well, you know what we say here in Texas, that sounds like horse shit, put a 2. And I'll wait. That's taking shrooms on his day off from the hospital. Of course he did that. Makes total sense to me. That coming from Blonde PT, who is a workhorse in the medical field. It's just so ridiculous, isn't it? It's just not, it's, you don't even have to know the man. All you have to know is his station in life and what it took to get there, right? He didn't get through medical school and become an ER physician and invest in Bitcoin at the ground floor. He didn't do all that because he believes in magic. That's not how he did. It's not how he achieved the things that he had achieved in his life. It's a silly proposition. And I can't, the cops are telling him, Richard, we know everything. And they said, Richard, we need you to take a polygraph. And he did, and he failed. Who else do we know? They said, we need you to take a polygraph. And he said, okay, I'll do it. Who was it? What's the one person that we watched take a polygraph and we all just shook our head going, what in the hell is happening? What's wrong with this guy? Does he have a functioning brain cell? Just one? Chris Watts, right? Yeah, we're going to give you, exactly, Mimi. We're going to give you a little, it's just a little polygraph, Chris. It's just to make you feel better. It'll be okay. Not once did he ask for an attorney. Not once did his father ask for an attorney for him. But as soon as they pull out the little magical machine, they said, sure, we'll take it. The arrogance, the hubris is just off the charts. It's crazy. Why would you take a polygraph? It's not even admissible in a court of law. Why would you subject yourself to that? Because the very minute you fail it, and you didn't just fail it, by your own admission, you said that they told you they knew that you were trying to trick it. So what did you do? Did you have a thumbtack in your shoe? Because that's one of the first things that you find online. If you've been cheating on your wife and she's about to send you for a polygraph to find out you've been dating them old hoes. Oh, if you put a thumbtack in your shoe and every time they ask you a question, you press down on that thumbtack, then you'll pass. Well, that is not how it works. And it's not true. It doesn't work that way. Exactly, Blonde PT. So there's that. So it's very interesting. All right. And then get back to my notes. All right. So John Forsyth, at the time that he went missing, he actually had plane tickets. He was planning a visit to Idaho to see his children, his children from his first marriage. His baby mama would be having a baby in 1 month, 4 weeks. He, according to according to Richard, John gave his mother a very valuable gift, and he told Richard that he would become the keeper of the multi-million-dollar platform ONFO coin, and I would have guessed the Bitcoin purse in the event of John's demise. And well, unfortunately, at this point today, nobody can find these documents. The business manager doesn't have them. The accountant has no idea what Richard is talking about. And Richard has gone as far as to say to the cops that, again, John, the savant, well, he is so special and so smart and so unique that John knows all about encryption. And in the crypto world, if you know about encryption and John decided to hide those things, then nobody would ever find them. I don't think that's how it works, Richard. I think that every single transmission of coin moving from one wallet to the next is recorded not by two wallets, not by two platforms, by dozens. That's what makes the whole crypto exchange. That's what makes the whole industry safe, is because it is decentralized. There are multiple layers of oversight from people that are unrelated. It can be found anywhere and everywhere. That's how they catch Sam Bankman-Fried Banks. They can find it. So it looks suspiciously strange that you're telling people that all these things happened in the hours before John goes missing, and there was this large transfer of wealth, or potential transfer of wealth, where you end up at the end of the day being king of the pot. But now that they've gotten 4-6 months into the investigation, nobody can find evidence or proof of what you're saying. And that is that is a little uncomfortable. So overall, you have Richard, who magically hides all of his millions, and that Richard reveals what has previously been an unknown and unheard of fiance. Richard tells the family about this fiance. Nobody knows about her. And so she comes forward. She's 8 months pregnant the day John dies. The family meets. Everybody's like, wow, this is crazy. I don't know what to think. And then Richard tells us, oh, by the way, did I tell you that John's life was put in danger? He was kidnapped. What? What did you say? Your local ER physician who's working 80, 100 hours a week is being kidnapped on his days off? And that was 12 months before he disappeared, and no one said a word. This brilliant man, this savant, according to you, never thought, good gracious, maybe I better go to the police. Oh my goodness, maybe I better hire me a private investigator, or better yet, maybe I need some security. Nope, none of the above. None of the above happened. When he goes missing, Richard comes out and begins to reveal all these secrets about John that nobody knew. Nobody knew that he wanted to get high on drugs. Nobody knew that there was a super duper just secret baby mama in the works. Nobody knew about the fiance. Nobody knew about the kidnapping. Nobody knew about the transfer of the kingdom. Nobody knew about the very, very expensive, generous gift that was given to the domestic goddess mom. Nobody knew any of these things. But Richard does tell us that he was the guy that John made go do the unpleasant tasks, like firing people. He was the one that had to do those things. Richard was the one. Made me think of Katie McBanoa. If Richard is the bad guy, was Katie Charlie's bad guy? There's some parallels here that are really uncomfortable. So the question then is, well, why is Richard doing all these interviews? He knows that everybody's talking about this. He knows that people are really interested because, let's face it, an emergency room doctor lives a lifestyle that is pretty safe, right? They're not typically known to be wild and crazy guys out, rubbing shoulders with the criminal element of the world. And if in fact it's true, because there have been some rather audacious crimes, kidnappings, murders of crypto crime, maybe that is to account for it. But can I just interject again another little bit of logic here? Those descriptions, those circumstances related to crypto where people were murdered and or kidnapped, didn't it involve stealing? Like, these were not people that were running legitimate wallets and people got rich off their platforms. The people that got killed or kidnapped, they were not people that were following good business law. They were people that had exploited those that bought into the platform. They themselves were criminal. And why in the world would an emergency room doctor who had already made multi-millions on Bitcoin, why would he put all that in jeopardy to screw somebody over for money? Or maybe he wasn't one that did it. No, I don't think John Forsyth would do that. I think there's too much to lose, and he would have been playing right by the book. Following the letter of the law would be my guess, because that's how he became an emergency room physician, by following the rules, following the law, doing what he's supposed to do. So if we have to believe that John got kidnapped a year before, but again, just like with the BabyMomma, no one knew about her. No one in the family knew anything about the young mother of his 9th child. Nobody knew about her. Nobody knew that the keys to the kingdom were in Richard's pocket. Nobody knew that. And nobody knows that John Forsyth, emergency room physician, got kidnapped and never told a police officer, FBI, never hired private security. Richard is the keeper of the secrets, according to the story that he is telling on multiple platforms. And the cop said, "Will you take a polygraph?" And he did. So that leads us then to the last question. Why? Why is Mr. Forsyth on all these platforms talking? And I don't have an answer for that. Unless, as I've said before, maybe it is to try and sway a jury pool, to try to get people to like him in case something is to happen sometime in the future, right? All right. So let's listen to the newest interview, or this is the newest one that I've been able to find. Let's take a listen, shall we?
I do wonder if he died protecting us.
What?
I do wonder if he died protecting us.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
I do wonder if he died protecting us.
From what? What's he going to be protecting you from?
If he did, I wish he'd given me a chance, you know. I wish he'd give me a chance to do. The idea of trading his life for mine is absurd. Or for his kids, I can understand that, but I hope to God it wasn't about protecting me.
There you go.
I'm joined right now by Richard Forsyth. This is the brother of Dr. John Forsyth. He's kind enough to come on and share the hell.
He got kidnapped. He didn't contact the cops. He didn't get any help. And he did it all to protect Richard, the keeper of the kingdom. Hey, AK, very good quote, my friend. You got it.
Richard, number one, thank you for joining us. Let's start out by talking, Richard, about this from the beginning. Let's go way back. Let's go back to years before this horrible tragedy took place with your brother. He's working in the medical practice there. By all accounts, doing good. Even allowed to bring his camper onto the property, and he sounds like somebody who really worked his butt off. Is that a fair assessment?
That was something that a lot of people complained about. I mean, he was, it was said of him that he was working 80, 100 hours a week regularly, and sometimes more somehow. I don't know how. Yeah, he worked a lot.
Yeah. With that being said, him working quite a bit, you guys, from what I understand, take me to the beginning of this business you guys set up. How far back did the crypto business begin, and what kind of inspired you guys to go down that route?
Well, there's a long version of that story and a short one. I'll go with the short one, and you can kind of ask for expansion if you want. But we started talking about digital currency in 2007.
I know.
We were
Moonlight.
involved in a
Agreed.
business. We had created some software for banks and the payment systems industry to help maximize debit card returns for banks. So for banks that are issuing debit cards, we had some software and a novel approach for improving their revenue model. And in our conversations with payments systems experts, we got into the conversation of where payment systems
They're
are going.
damn nice.
And
I can say that.
the conversation of digital currencies arose, and he and I started exploring that space, and we started devising an idea for a digital currency.
Yeah, I think he's
around
reading
2007.
something, T, please. I think
We
there's something on the right
began
of the
programming
computer
in
that he's
2008.
reading.
We had a beta test in 2009, and then Bitcoin came out. And at first we thought Bitcoin was pretty goofy.
Looks like someone's showing him notes.
And I still maintain that its early iterations were goofy, but then they made some key alterations, and that sold us that they were the right platform. And so even though we'd spent well over $1 million in what we were working on at the time, we dumped it. And we pivoted to the cryptocurrency space, and we started working in that market, developing services and products, and just getting involved. We were at the first cryptocurrency conferences. We met all the current, tech giants and people who started the cryptocurrency space. And we just got really involved. And over time, we devised several ideas, many of which didn't work out. We actually tried to start a cryptocurrency exchange, found the regulatory landscape to be challenging, and also a lot of the technical issues to be very challenging. And we started a business where we sold cryptocurrency that was attached to actual precious metals. So kind of a combination of precious metals and cryptocurrency. It didn't work out in the long run. And so ultimately we ended up starting our own cryptocurrency, because we felt like the cryptocurrencies we were seeing in the market were not delivering on the original promise, on the original idea.
Well, that's a little weird, because your brother bought Bitcoin on first offering and just held on to it and became a multi-millionaire. So why are you talking like he was unhappy with the whole crypto thing? I think he was incredibly happy, actually.
And so, and probably the biggest issue with cryptocurrency that we saw at that time, and I still see this as a problem, is broad-based distribution. Not a lot.
Now, one thing I will say about all of his interviews, all of them, ostensibly, isn't he here to talk about John Forsyth, his brother, and this terrible murder that took place? But he always starts it's like he's a lecturer, a teacher on crypto. That seems out of step to me. If you're deep in grief, how do you just immediately launch into your spiel as a salesman? So that it kind of bothers me a little bit.
Not enough people are using cryptocurrency to make it really legit, to make it palatable to the masses, and to
that's what I thought,
to government. And so we feel like the biggest challenge facing cryptocurrency is broad-based usage. And so we designed ONFO to become a cryptocurrency that is very broadly used, especially in the third world. We felt like there was nobody in the cryptocurrency space that was addressing the involvement
they
of
went
the
to
third world.
Brazil to take advantage of those
I've
people.
always felt since the beginning that cryptocurrency was designed for them. It was designed to liberate them. It was designed to lift them up and to give them inclusion into modern finance, into modern world.
Sort of like the old
so we envisioned
company
ONFO as a
store.
philanthropic concept. We never really had a profit model. It should be said
they
that
did all
probably
this out
sounds
of
naive to certain
there is no profit.
people. The truth is that when a cryptocurrency becomes very big, very widely used, then it becomes inherently valuable. And so anybody involved in such a program will have revenue streams. But we never got to that, and we
Well,
certainly didn't have a
your
short-term revenue
brother
model. We
owned
weren't
just boatloads
flipping
of
or
Bitcoin.
dumping or any of that kind of stuff. We never sold anything
Yes, voices.
to
Yeah.
anybody. We very squeaky clean when it came to regulatory compliance stuff. And our mission, the way we understood it, was that if we succeed on a broad base, great. But if not, until then, we'll be putting groceries on the tables of lots of poor folks. And that really drove us.
Putting groceries on the table of a lot of poor folks. Are you talking in third world countries, as you just mentioned, folks who
Brazil,
really
I
could
believe,
use
if I
this? Is
remember
that
correctly.
the direction of where it was going and what was going on with it in those early days?
Absolutely. And we had big growth in a number of countries. Indonesia, Bangladesh, all throughout Africa, Ukraine before the war started. Things got a little bit strange when the war started, but we still maintained operations there, and we still had a lot of people who were using our system and helping it to grow. A lot of other places around the world that are not coming up to, oh yeah, Philippines was big. A lot of places around the world. And especially we noticed with the feedback and the communications we got, it was particularly popular with people who were struggling financially. And so we had a lot of testimonials, people writing in saying, you know, they're really grateful for what we did for them. They only participated for a couple of weeks, but it got them $20. And that made us feel really great, and it motivated us. It really drove us in our work and in our investments. And for me and for JR, my brother, he was often referred to as JR, John Robert Forsyth. He we were just so excited about what we were doing, and about the impact we were having for people, hundreds of thousands of people. You can live your whole life and work at any variety of jobs, and some of which you may have the luxury of believing in. You know, you may actually have the luxury of feeling like what you're doing means something. JR and I worked a lot of different jobs, did a lot of different things. We never found anything that gave us more meaning than that. And so, yeah, we were very driven by
He
this
was an
philanthropic
emergency
angle.
room
When
physician.
you were
Seems like
in
he
that
liked that pretty
philanthropic
good.
angle of this, what time was this in the timeline of things? But what year was this going on at?
2019, January 1st to the day he died.
Oh, oh. While this is going on, you obviously you work with a lot of different people. I'm assuming people in other countries as well to get this off the
Don't
ground
do
in the
that,
place
Ceresia.
where you got it. I have to ask, as you know, we've learned about your brother and his claims of being kidnapped about a year prior to his murder.
It's crazy.
I believe you had mentioned in an interview once that it might have been related somewhat, in some way, shape, or form to the world of cryptocurrency. Can you expand upon that a little bit more? Does that have to do with what you guys were doing with working with other countries and maybe some bad actors getting mixed in, or was it something else into the just that world? For most of us, we're very unfamiliar with any of it, to be quite honest.
Excuse me. The first time I ever heard about this kidnapping story was the day that my brother went missing on May 21st of this year. I had no knowledge of it whatsoever, and I was not I have no firsthand knowledge of any of it even to this day. All I have are third-party accounts. So
where are the
what I know about it,
people
I
that are
truly
telling
wonder.
this
I don't know
story?
if I know much at all, but I do know what was claimed through mutual acquaintance. Mutual acquaintance, and I'm saying this because the events we're describing are potentially dangerous.
See, it's like
If they occurred, and especially
James
as
Bond
described,
007,
then the person
right?
who is privy to this information is potentially in danger. And so I'm keeping this person anonymous for that reason. So this mutual acquaintance has said
Exactly.
to my face,
Yeah, if it's so dangerous
that the kidnapping was
the doctor was kidnapped and then ultimately murdered, then why can't you stay off of the internet? If you have these fears that this is related to the crypto work, it's hard to understand. Look, for a man of his stature to be kidnapped and then he escapes, according to you, he escapes and he walks 5 miles in the snow uphill both ways and finally gets himself to freedom. And then a year later, he ends up floating face down in Beaver Lake. Why aren't you afraid? This is odd that it seems curious that you're not also trying to protect yourself, or even more, why are you trying to protect your sisters and your mom and dad? Because these articles that you've done in the newspaper, you guys took photographs and had photographs accompanying these interviews. So you've basically given the kidnappers and the murderers, you've given them your location, where you live, where John's children lived, what you guys all look like, the YouTube channels of your mom and your dad. I mean, it doesn't fit that you're terrified that your brother was murdered by East European crypto gangsters. But everybody's been put in danger because of this talk circuit thing. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm being a little petty about this, or does it seem off that he has all this fear and he says, well, if I think John died protecting me, does that make sense to you? If you think I'm being silly and that I'm wrong about this, put a 1. If you think, yeah, I have the same question. Why are you putting yourself and your sisters and your mom and dad and John's kids, why are you putting all y'all's details out on the internet so that the East European crypto mobsters can go hurt y'all? Put a 2 if you believe me, if you side with me on that, or number 1, if you think I'm completely wrong.
Cryptocurrency related. That's a very vague phrase. That's it. Some deal was struck. There was a claim that, well, first of all, he was forced into a car and taken to some location. Don't know how far of a drive it was.
An
it was
undisclosed location, Richard.
His
That's
life was
the verbiage.
threatened. I think the life of his family was threatened, possibly acquaintances as well. I am aware that this is vague, and that's frustrating. It's frustrating to me too.
I bet it is, Richard.
Also, it was claimed that these individuals had what he described as Eastern European accents. That's very vague. Could be wrong.
Maybe
they claimed that they were professionals. It wasn't personal.
Could be North Arkansas accents,
another
right?
person. That's it. Other than that it was cold, that he was zip tied, that he didn't want to talk much more about it because he was concerned that it could put people in danger if they knew anything more. I don't know why that would be the case. And furthermore, regarding this kidnapping story, a lot of the public have remarked in social media that they find it very odd and incredible that I don't know more. And yet that's the fact. That's just the way it is. Yeah. I did not know. He did not tell me anything about this. If it was cryptocurrency related, it seems implausible that I am not in the line of fire, or by proximity to him that I am not somehow involved and in danger, but he didn't tell me.
Yeah.
Well,
and by not telling me, I
question,
find it difficult.
Richard. I'm not so especially worried that you may be in the line of fire, because you're a grown man and you know what kind of business you guys are engaged in. But I would be a little worried about John's children, I think that is a legitimate, real concern. And they have not been on this talk show circuit. Maybe they don't want to be involved in all this. So it just seems dangerous to continue this if you believe in your heart that this is related to East European crypto mobsters. It just seems a little frightening.
Believe that that protects me whatsoever, but here we are. He didn't tell me anything. And so I found out about all this stuff on May 21st, 2023, when he was missing from his ER shift. And this is before we knew anything. This is before we knew that he had been taken, that he had been killed.
Yeah.
So at this point, May 21st, 2023, I'm hearing this absolutely shocking and bizarre story. And I'm hoping and believing that he ran off, he was in hiding or something. So that's it. That's all I know about the kidnapping. And
now there was another unusual comment that was made. Well, I mean, I found it to be unusual. And it was, he said that, how did he say it? He said that John is a card-carrying member of a Native American tribe, right? Like he's full-blooded Cherokee or something like that. That he's got a card that shows that he's verified. I'm talking about John. He's got a card and it verifies that he's, Native American. And that means that he could use that card to go into Canada and live among that tribe and hide out. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're all going, but wait a minute. Didn't they find him floating in the lake like he's dead? Correct? Yes. Absolutely, he is. But you remember back at the very beginning of this video, you remember when I told you that no one, according to reports, that people should be, these are people that I think would know. They said that Dr. John Forsyth's body was not identified by a family member, that they did face recognition technology and a tattoo match. And that's how they verified that the doctor's body was in fact the doctor. But then Mr. Forsyth, the brother, Richard, he comes out and begins saying that John is a Native American and that he could cross over into Canada if he wanted to go into hiding, I guess, to save his life or whatever, that he could go into Canada and he could hide out on one of the reservations there. I don't know. Y'all don't ask me these questions. I don't know. I am telling you what people said. That's what I'm telling you. I don't have any more than what I'm telling y'all now. But this is really a really interesting story. Because it's so unlikely. It's just an unlikely set of circumstances all the way around. This kidnapping, very strange. And look, here's the reality. We're nobody. We're just people. We just talk to each other. We just hang out together and just visit, right? Small little group. Nobody knows we're over here on this side of the YouTube streets. But the reality is that the investigators in Arkansas, Missouri, if there is in fact a guy that's come forward and said, no, John came to my house, his hands were zip tied, he was cold and muddy, and he claimed that he was kidnapped, then they've already talked to that man, or woman. They've already taken their statement, and when there's a trial, if there's a trial, that person will be a witness, right? So it doesn't, me and you, we don't have to know. I'm just telling you what little bit Mr. Forsyth has put out there, or other people in Arkansas or Missouri, what they have said. So it's weird to us. However, if the story is true, then the cops will absolutely have taken a statement from whoever this friend was that helped him through this kidnapping debacle. And they will become a witness in any trial should there be one. But it's odd. It's a really strange story.
That brings us to date. I found out that he was dead about a week after he was missing, and
9 days.
and then it became a crime.
Sure.
And
When you found out that he was missing on May 21st, and you then found out that story, and obviously I'm not asking for the identity of who told you that whatsoever, but I do want to ask, was that a call from someone or a message from someone that immediately had suspicions that this was related to that previous kidnapping, and that's why they wanted you to know?
yes, yes. In fact, it was about his being missing, and it was brought to my attention as a, by the way, this could be related type of comment.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you know, my evening progressed terribly that evening. First, I find out my brother's missing. Second, I found out he's been kidnapped. And you know, the evening, just I was up all night. The phone calls just kept coming. His car has been found abandoned.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine your brother, your sister goes missing, and you're just thinking, wow, well, maybe they had an argument with the baby mama, right? Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're sleeping somewhere. Like, I don't know where they are. And then someone comes up and says, oh, by the way, about this time last year, your brother was kidnapped, but they managed somehow to talk themselves out of death, and they escaped, and they showed up at my house in the middle of the night, and they had zip ties on their arms, and they were cold and shivering and freezing, and they made me swear to never tell anybody. Maybe it's related. Would you not just be in a state of shock if somebody told you that about your family member? I don't even know what I would say. I would probably be angry as all get out that people didn't tell me that happened, because you need to think about the safety of other people in the family, right? The kids and whatnot. So I don't know. It's strange. It's very uncomfortable.
His phone has been smashed. All these things. His RV was left open with stuff.
His phone was smashed. Why? Why would somebody smash a phone? Because there's you know, the connection to the iCloud, right? And that records most of the information on the phone. Why would somebody smash the phone? And it wasn't one phone, it was 5 or 6 different phones. And Richard does tell us in the interviews that were done about 6 months ago, he does say that those various phones, that was part of the maybe the security around the crypto empire. And that's part of why he says nobody will ever be able to break in, and nobody will ever find the will, and nobody will ever be able to access the business documents. It's lost forever. Well, I suspect it's probably not going to be lost forever. Somebody's going to pop up with a will somewhere. Isn't that right, Barry?
That he would never leave behind, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and mysterious, more mysterious by the phone call, and more bizarre. And yeah, that's how that day and the following day went.
I can't imagine, you know, just the circles you must have been going through in your mind and trying to piece something together when you don't have all the pieces to do that. Was anyone else in your family aware of any of these sort of things, of anything possible negative, other than the individual who informed you of that previous kidnapping? What was, I guess, the status on your brother? Was with everybody just normal life?
No, you know, I waited until about 8 a.m. the following morning, because I thought, you know, these guys need at least one night's sleep, because this is going to be a roller coaster. So I started getting the word out with family at about 8 a.m. the following morning, and everyone was completely shocked. And my objective that morning until about noon was to get a hold of anybody who could know anything and try to find any information. And so I was calling work associates, acquaintances, cousins, anybody I could think of. And I don't even remember who I talked to specifically, but a lot of individuals, and they in turn talked to individuals. And so the word just started getting out, and people just started soliciting information from anyone who could
Exactly,
know. And,
Shalimar.
everybody I talked to was absolutely shocked, horrified, as I was, about what was going on, about what could be going on.
See, exactly what Martian Planet said. So when I was listening to this and I was hearing him say, okay, so the way that this day worked, March 21st, is that he got off work at 7 a.m., right? And he was supposed to be off for a while, and then he would have gone back for another shift that night, like at 7 o'clock, right? He would have gone back. They didn't know that he was missing until he failed to show up for his emergency room duty. And I believe legally that would be illegal. I think a doctor must be there. He can't just not call. If something happens and he's not able to work or she's not able to work, they have to call in and say, this is happening and I'm not going to be there. Call this doctor to cover. So the fact that he just didn't show up at all was that's pretty bad. I mean, that's pretty scary. In all fairness, that's not a typical thing to have happen at all. But I still thought it was interesting that he said to himself that he did not wake people up. Like, he didn't call the dad and the mom, and he didn't call all these people and tell them. He said he thought to himself, I'm going to wait until tomorrow because this thing is going to get really crazy. But what if the guy just went somewhere and got drunk and fell asleep? What if he scored some ayahuasca and he was somewhere tripping balls? Like, we don't know where he was. So why say that I'm going to let him sleep because it may be the last night they get any good sleep? This is going to get crazy. But in fairness, this was a different type of situation because the guy he's an ER physician. He missed his shift with no kind of word to anyone. And that is something that never happens. Right. So I do get that part of it. But I don't know. It just seemed like it's like he had some sort of awareness for what was coming, but maybe not. Maybe it was just that it was so out of character for Dr. Forsyth not to be on duty when he was supposed to be there, that was why he thought, wow, this is going to get bad. So I can go with that.
No one had heard a single thing about this kidnapping thing. No one had any inkling of an idea of whether he was in danger and specifically why and from whom. Nobody had any clue. And so we were all just shocked and dumbfounded, and still are. I've been telling people, and this is the God's honest truth. I know less today about what's going on than on May 21st when he went missing, because there were things I thought I knew. Now I don't. Now I'm unlearning things.
What are some of those things that you thought you knew that now have come to light and aren't exactly what you expected?
I knew that my brother led a fairly compartmentalized life and that he had.
You know how y'all have heard of a red pill moment? Well, this isn't a red pill moment. This is a red flag moment. I got really uncomfortable listening to this because now he's proceeding to tell everyone who ever knew John Forsyth that even if the things that he's saying is different than what they know about John, that's okay, because John led a highly compartmentalized, protected life. So you wouldn't know the things I know. This gets really uncomfortable to listen to.
Secrets, but I had no idea how deep that ran. I had no idea that, he was at least communicating to some individuals that he believed that he was in a lot of danger, that he could be killed. No idea.
But you were the bag
this
man.
Is a person I am very close to. The family, they always say to each other and to media, Richard was the closest to John Forsyth,
Sure.
to JR, and I don't know the most important thing that's going on in his life. I didn't know that he had a girlfriend. I didn't know that they're having a baby. I didn't know even that he proposed to her. I
It's
didn't
so hard to
know that he
believe.
had
It's so
19 LLCs and a C corp.
this is so difficult to follow. And I want to follow it. I want to embrace it. I want to this idea of betrayal, and it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. But we're for 6 months we're told that he was the keeper of all of John's secrets, including that John was looking for drugs, for illegal drugs, and that John was consumed by solving some crypto mathematical equation, and that the drugs were going to open his mind up and he would figure it out. But you didn't know that there was going to be a marriage, that there would be a baby in 4 weeks that would be on the. Did you know that your brother was planning on leaving his job and moving to a new area to start work? Did you know that? So that he could be with the woman that he loved? This is hard. It's like listening to two different stories at the same time. It's very hard to make out what is fact and what is fiction.
I didn't know that. Why did I not know that? Look, I was his factotum. I was his hatchet man, if you will, kind of in business terms, the guy who did his the work that he didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you didn't know about his baby,
because he found that distasteful. I would be the guy who took the trip to the place that he didn't want to go, and I don't know about this stuff. It's amazing to me. Bank accounts I didn't know about. I handled a lot of his financial affairs for a long time. His estate, his will, and
Richard told the cops and told the public through these interviews, he told them that his brother did not care about anything but math. Do y'all remember that? That was a crazy interview. Math, that's all John Forsyth cared about. Math. Remember that? They said, well, why was he at a vacation spot? Like, why was he at Beaver Lake? That's an outdoorsman's paradise, right? That's a large fishing lake and water skiing and laying in the sun. And like, he's not laying around on the lake doing math. Like, why is he there? And no, my brother would never go there. My brother would never fish. It's the funniest thing I've ever heard. We'd never fish. No, never. He would never do that. Oopsie. Guess what the cops found? Yeah, they got some photographs of John Forsyth fishing, having a ball.
The operating agreement governing the corporation that we erected to handle the intellectual property for ONFO. He had documentation about that I originally drafted. He claimed that he amended them. We can't find those documents. There's a lot of bizarre stuff going on about this guy. And chief of all, me not knowing about the kidnapping, that's bizarre to the extreme to me. And the way I reason it, him not telling me about this makes no sense, because my being ignorant is not something that bad guys can take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
My proximity to him implicates me the end.
Sure.
And so if he knows something or has got something they want, and he's out of the picture now and they still haven't got it, then that's me. I mean, any fool would assume that, and the public at large is assuming that, and they're assuming that I know more because I'm not telling more, because it makes.
But here's the problem, Richard. You seem to be embracing that. You seem to be saying, yeah, I think my brother might have been in some trouble related to the whole crypto underworld. And And then by proxy, like you said, your proximity to his business dealings, that somehow you or your family members are in trouble. And yet you guys took a group photo and put it in the newspaper. Why would you do that if you think that there's Ukrainian mobsters out to kill you? If you believe that your brother was being controlled by these horrible, people, then why are you going on all these talk shows? Don't you feel the need to protect yourself or to protect the people that love you? Why would you be telling all? I don't know, y'all. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen.
Makes no sense that I don't know more, but here we are.
Sure.
I don't know more. And it is so strange to me and hurtful.
Well, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, you're just trying to tell your story and raise awareness here, because this is a very bizarre, unsolved death.
Exactly, Kathy R.
To lose the person
I
that
can't read.
you were so close to, and then at the same time, it's got to be somewhat heartbreaking to realize you really, there was a whole other side to this person that you were unaware of. When you look at this, and I'm sure there's been a 1,000 different scenarios that have run through your mind in these last many months.
Alexandra.
Is there anything that you've speculated on that makes any sense to you at all of, motive for someone wanting to go after him? And did he have enemies somewhere? Because everything we know, he seemed like a very lovely, nice, wonderful person.
He really was.
That doesn't, but when it gets into business, and sometimes, through no fault of his own, maybe there are, of course, just shady people out there that will try and take advantage of someone's goodness. Is that something where maybe this stems into? Was there something that you can think of any path that was going on in the world of crypto that would have turned someone the wrong way to not only do that initial kidnapping, but if it is connected, which most people don't get kidnapped once in their life.
Exactly, Mr.
It
Brewski.
would likely be connected to his death.
Right. As far as my thoughts and what I've wondered about, is the cause of all this. Yeah, my thoughts have run the gamut, and I've wondered if it could be a jealous ex. I've wondered if it could be a drug dealer or a drug transaction gone wrong.
Damn.
He was looking for DMT at the time that he died.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
He communicated that to me, and I didn't especially want to broadcast that around the world. I don't really have any illicit drug sources, but I guess I know people who know people, and I thought maybe someone might know someone.
He literally just said, I don't have illicit drug sources. I don't do that. So yeah.
Some safe DMT. He wanted DMT because
listen.
He was obsessed.
Now I want you to look at Tony Brewski. I want you to watch his face when this story comes out, because never in the history of the planet has there been a more skeptical person than me until now. Tony Brewski is not buying this story. Watch his face. He doesn't believe any of this.
Was absolutely driven to figure out this problem of post-RSA encryption. And brief background on this.
He was like, what? What are you talking about?
Quantum computing is rising quickly. Right now, it seems like a lot of attention's on AI, but quantum computing advancement is rising very fast. And he envisioned a world in which quantum computing became strong enough to brute force any conventional digital security. And
we are talking about this man's brother found floating in the lake, deceased. And he is now doing an interview talking mad BS about quantum computing and the brute force behind. What are you talking about? This is nonsense.
So this was a concern specifically for us as cryptocurrency founders, because the security of a cryptocurrency is essential to its operations. But also, we were concerned about a world in which bad faith actors, organized crime, corrupt government had access to technology like this. A world in which there's no digital privacy, no digital security. And it seemed a very dangerous thing to us, and something that could be used to oppress a lot of people. Our minds being very keyed into the plight of poor individuals, forgotten and oppressed individuals around the world. This was sort of a natural.
Your brother is dead. What are you talking about? That you are tuned into the plight of the poor around the world that are going to be oppressed by their government? Your brother has been murdered. Why are you throwing out all this chaff? Why are you throwing out all these red herrings for people to think, no, it had to be this. No, it had to be that. Can we just get our feet back down on the ground and deal with reality? There were no Eastern European, Ukrainian mobsters that found their way into the piney hills of Arkansas to do the young doctor in. That didn't happen because they wouldn't know if he had a girlfriend who was pregnant. They wouldn't know that he had moved all the money over to Richard. They wouldn't know that he had given his mom an expensive gift. They wouldn't know any of it. This is weird. This whole now we're quantum computing. We're talking about the oppressed of the world and throwing in a little bit of DMT to be happy. Can't we just like have a normal conversation about, golly, I wonder what happened to the brother?
Path for us. And so he and I stumbled across this dilemma, and he chiefly had been working on this issue, and he believed that DMT could help expand his mind. He believed that the answer to this mathematical problem would be in essentially experiencing a near-death experience through DMT, which is what people do. If you go onto YouTube and you listen to people's accounts of DMT trips, it's pretty wild stuff, but strangely consistent across experiencers. And so, leading that back to my original comment and why I brought that up, my first assumption when he went missing and when they found his body was that it was a bad drug deal, or that he had taken DMT unassisted and aspirated or something.
Because he's not
horrified.
It's not like he's an emergency room physician.
If you ever get DMT, make sure you've got someone. I'll be there to make sure you breathe, to make sure you've got what you need, so you don't choke on your tongue or something.
Yeah.
So that was my first assumption. It was some kind of bad drug deal. You deal with drug dealers, you get bad stuff. So, but
yeah, Richard, I'm just not going to say anything.
I had also supposed perhaps a jealous ex-boyfriend of a girl he dated. As far as I know, there's been no evidence to support that. Then there's the story of the kidnapping, which is very low-hanging fruit in all of this. I have no specific knowledge to link that to my brother's disappearance and death, but
yeah,
we all are, and because it's so sinister and spooky. And two, he claimed to certain individuals over time that event was ongoing, that it wasn't fully resolved, and that the issue at hand was still a danger to him and to people he cared about. And so we have his word, we have his voice from beyond the grave saying that it's about the kidnapping. So according to third-party individuals, not me, because he never confided any of this to me. So so the kidnapping, crypto, what could it be about? I have no idea. So if it's about crypto, some crypto he's got, some crypto that I don't know. Could it be about ONFO? I don't understand why it would be. Yes, it could be. ONFO is, from certain people's point of view, I think, up to no good. We're disruptors. We're,
Oh my God.
we're giving people an avenue for free speech in third world countries where
He's a
oppression is the rule.
legend in
So,
his
yeah,
own mind.
enemies. In the course of pursuing ONFO as a concept, we have come across hackers and bad faith actors who have, stolen from us or attempted to steal from us. We've thwarted some of them. Thwarting them has made them very angry. We had a run-in with a fellow who launched it was like a 5-week DDoS attack on our system because we stopped him from stealing a bunch of funds from some of our account holders. The money at hand in that particular disagreement was only about $8,000, so it doesn't seem to me to be enough to
I think so, Lady of
motivate a
Angels.
person, especially a foreign individual, to cross an ocean to get revenge. So, but who knows? I mean, who knows how far people's pride will drive them to despicable acts? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, Richard.
That's
that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Besides that, I can imagine that maybe he just, I don't know, maybe he borrowed money from someone. I have no specific information that he did, but this is sort of the Hollywood story. You borrow money from shady individuals and you don't pay it back on their ever-changing terms, and then you get yourself kneecapped or whatever.
Ever-changing terms, Richard?
The public has perhaps as much latitude and possibility of success as I do in imagining what is going on here.
Yeah.
Sure.
The police seem to have nothing.
Yeah.
They've told us that they've found no evidence of foreign actor involvement or cryptocurrency involvement, though it should be said that in a criminal investigation, the police are not obligated to tell the truth in the course of an ongoing investigation.
Yeah,
so I don't know if that's part of a misinformation campaign to elicit information. I don't know. I really don't know what the truth is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the police have. I know that
well, they did tell you that they have everything, right? They did say that they know everything. They did tell you that.
What seems to be the case is that they don't have much to be going on if this is about cryptocurrency and foreign actors. They don't seem to have found much information. So
maybe they think it's something a little more local.
How involved have the police been with you? Just sitting down talking and trying to get information? Are they talking to everybody in the family, trying to get anything they can possibly, talking to you?
Watch
just
his eye.
Talking and trying to get information. Are they talking to everybody in the family, trying to get anything they can possibly go on? I mean, how deep are they going in the investigation?
Somebody's writing a note.
Feel like they're giving it the effort that it needs for just how bizarre and this thing is, and I would imagine the manpower that would be needed to dig into this.
I have little to no insight into the criminal investigation, and I think that's probably as it should be. They are not very forthcoming, as they should be.
Sure.
So
my interactions,
he literally just gave the cops his approval. Yeah, that's a little uncomfortable.
With them have been puzzling. I can say that according to my siblings, and I have 5 sisters, they have not spoken to any of them. The police have communicated to the family that they favor an assisted suicide story. They believe that he hired someone to kill him to effect a false narrative of mysterious murder and martyrdom potentially.
Martyrdom?
I don't really know why they believe that. I think maybe it's just sort of in the case of criminal investigations, you results matter, public confidence in the system matters, and so what you tend to find is that you look for theories, and then having found one, you look for facts to support those theories. I mean, I know that's sort of the opposite of good detective work, but it also...
I have a question. How does he know what good detective work is? I thought this was another part of the thing that it kind of came out of left field. And I thought, why is he telling people how detectives work? It's just strange to me. I mean, I don't think it means anything. I just think it's weird.
Delivers, at least as far as the public is concerned, results, at least, the perception of results. And so seems to me like maybe they found a theory that they can find facts for. And so, but again, I have no insights into the criminal investigation. I really don't know what they actually think. Anything they tell me may be just a game that they're playing to try to get to the bottom of this. And I certainly hope that they do. And
Well, you failed a
I hope that
polygraph,
they are
Richard.
honest and in earnest with their investigation. But their interactions with me, they've interviewed me several times, but none of my sisters. If they favor a suicide theory, I'd like to know why they're not interviewing my sisters.
Yeah.
Why would they not want to find
you
out
onto
from
something there, buddy.
them what his state of mind was, what their opinion was of his state of mind? I mean, that seems to me to be immediately relevant to a potential suicide narrative, right?
Was your brother in contact with your sisters on a regular basis, talking about life in general and emotions, that sort of things?
Absolutely, he was. Especially several of my sisters, my eldest sister and my sister Amanda, who's in the medical field as well. He confided in them a lot. In fact, he had conversations with them. Come to find out after his death, he said things to them that I didn't know. So he did bring them into his confidence, and them not being interviewed is very strange. I'd like to say that.
Wouldn't it be interesting to know how Richard felt, how he responded when he found out that John, the brother, was talking to the sisters but shutting Richard out? That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Diane. Yeah, that's kind of scary. He has a magical crystal ball hooked up directly to the police station. I don't know. This is a very uncomfortable situation.
My brother's state of mind, what I know, and I'm not an expert on this state of mind. I'm the closest of my family to him, and so I have insights. But
sure,
I'm being reminded constantly that yes, I don't know everything that was in his heart and in his mind, and fair enough. But
there's some micro expressions there, wasn't it?
So I have what I know, and I'm not an expert on this state of mind. I'm the closest of my family to him, and so I have insights. But
sure,
I'm being reminded constantly. Yes, I don't. Constantly that. Yes, I don't know everything.
He looks mad.
That was in his...
Doesn't he look angry? He's got his old lip curled up. Got to watch those micro expressions there, Richard. They'll get you every time, buddy. Behavior panel picked that up fast. Ooh, relax that top lip. Ah! If you're scared, put a 1. He looks very angry, doesn't he? Wow. Golly, he looks so angry.
Fair enough. But,
he's catching himself now. Look, he's calming down.
I feel like my view.
Did you guys just see his face change? That is so weird. Watch how fast his face changes. There's a flash of anger. You can see it around his mouth and his nose. And then he catches himself and he calms himself down. Wow, that's weird. Watch him. Right here.
Yes, I don't know everything.
Oh, what do y'all think? Oh, he's really mad about something related to that question.
Thing that was in his heart and
look at that
mind. Fair enough. But
right here, you're going to see his face soften. He catches himself. He knows he's mad. Watch. Now he's going to calm.
I feel like my view.
Ooh.
That
was weird.
Is very important and very relevant to this case. And I will say that he was the happiest I've ever seen him. He was
Well, he was in
overflowing
love. He was about to have a baby.
with joy and anticipation and optimism. And,
He's rich.
you know, I've just recently come to find out that he was preparing to transfer his job to Springfield, Missouri to work. He was preparing.
I don't remember what the question was. Let's see. Hold on.
Fair. I'm being an expert. I'd like to know. So he's with them, who's in the medical. Actually,
Okay, here we go. Let's
emotions,
listen.
that sort of things.
absolutely,
Yeah.
he was. Especially several of my sisters, my eldest sister and my sister Amanda, who's in the medical field as well. He confided in them a lot. In fact, he had conversations with them. Come to find out after his death, he said things to them that I didn't know. So he did bring them into his confidence, and them not being interviewed is very strange. I'd like to say that about my brother's state of mind, what I know, and I'm not an expert on his state of mind. I'm the closest of my family to him, and so I have insights. But
Sure.
I'm being reminded constantly that yes, I don't know everything that was in his heart and in his mind.
Maybe he's angry at the cops because he got really angry. Look at that look on his face. He got really angry when he said, I'm being reminded constantly that I didn't know everything that was in my brother's mind. So it does kind of feel like there might have been a rift between the two brothers, doesn't it? I mean, he's clearly, that is a, that look on his face, that's a warning sign to whoever's around. Be careful, tread lightly. He's angry right here.
Mind, and fair enough.
He's going to catch
But,
himself and
I feel
soften.
like
Now
my
watch his
view
face change.
of him is very important, very relevant to this
Weird.
case. And I will say that he was the happiest I've ever seen him.
Weird.
He was
Yeah,
overflowing with
exactly,
joy and
Blonde
anticipation
PT.
and optimism. And, you know, I've just recently come to find out that he was preparing to transfer his job to Springfield, Missouri to work with his fiancee, who's also in the medical field. He and I had just hired a DevOps guy for ONFO to help bring us forward. We had very elaborate plans for what he was going to do and where ONFO was going to go in the near future. He and I had investment plans together. We were going to commence in January and February. He and I had a building that we were renovating together.
See, he's talking about how me and John, we were doing this. Me and John, we were doing that. Me and John, we were doing this. But the reality of what seems to actually have taken place is that John had a plan all of his own, and that was to marry this woman that he was in love with and to have the baby and to move closer to where her job was and for him to go see his kids in Idaho and take care of them. It seemed like John was kind of moving on to a new life, and that he was leaving this life behind where he and Richard were kind of powwowing to be masters of the universe. Right? If you think that's what it sounds like, put a 1. If you think it could be other things, put a 2.
Insurance claim. And man, we had been dreaming about renovating this building for the longest time. And he had been taking me on tours. He had taken me on tours before his death of this building and described in very excited terms the different things we we're going to do with this building. The amount of money we were going to spend was a lot of money, and it was going to be just an absolute jewel for the town. It was going to revitalize the downtown.
And then I found out that he was going to be marrying this woman and leave, and then I was going to be left with nothing.
Commerce. Again, he just proposed to his girlfriend, who he described as the love of his life, someone who made him very happy. They were going to have a child together. He was excited about having this kid together. And on and on and on. The guy, he was so optimistic. He had so many plans. So all of this stacked up against, yes, he had troubles. He had a divorce decree, $19,000 per month.
Which is peanuts.
That divorce was troubling for him.
No, he had multi-millions.
And that's it. Like that's
he had
the
enough
one thing
money to
people
pay
bring
it.
up. They're like, well, maybe he just didn't want to pay child support and alimony. Look, he didn't even contest it. He was fine with it. He had been paying a previous amount, $15,000 a month for years and years and years, never missed a payment.
Yeah.
Had no problem with it. He was making tons of money as a doctor and as an investor.
Yeah.
He was a very wealthy guy.
Yeah.
And I'm told by many people far wealthier than I thought. Funny thing, I don't really know how wealthy he was. And that's an odd thing to be able to say. But, you know, as a brother, even a close brother, you don't just say, hey, how much money you got, bro? It's crass. It's stupid. It's disrespectful. I would never do that.
Sure.
And he would probably just look at me askance if I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the only thing that anyone has been able to come up with that and text messages in which he described going through a tough time. You know, I think going through 2 divorces, going through some health challenges on his own part.
Now, let me
hard, but
be clear. 2 divorces from the same woman. They married, got divorced, and then remarried. The mother of all 8 of the original children in Idaho.
there was never any indication to me or to any of my siblings who I've talked to that he was suicidal, depressed, that he was ready to give up. He is on record as having acquired some ketamine, and his stated reason was depression. According to his fiancee.
Wow, this is like watching the baby with throwing the baby out with the bathwater, isn't it? Just throw anything like Barry Morphew. Just throw anything out there and see if it sticks.
Ketamine because ketamine enhances a DMT trip.
Sure.
And he was determined to get to the bottom of that quantum math issue about RSA security. So as far as I can tell, as far as I see, and I don't have all the data, I don't have all the evidence, but as far as I can tell, this is not a guy who had any reason to give up or to arrange an elaborate deceptive death like has been proposed. Quite the opposite. This was a guy who was very excited about the future and who had supreme, bordering on arrogance, confidence that he could overcome any obstacle and that he was going to soon. This guy, I've been through so many challenges with him, so many just awful things, and his confidence, his brilliance, his confidence in his own brilliance was bordering on, arrogant. And so I'm meant to believe this guy just in the midst of, the upswing of his life decided to hire some killers and fake some elaborate martyr death. It's just, look, if that is the truth, and it'll have to be proven if that's the truth, but if that's the truth, then it's the truth. And this world is a lot stranger than I thought. And it was already pretty damn strange.
Yeah, it's actually really strange.
That idea is very bizarre in itself. I mean, one would assume that with everything that was going on, that law enforcement would be combing through, investigators would be combing through financial records. I would assume that they would be combing through, and I would assume they would have been some sort of contact with the individual that you mentioned, that the name is being left obviously anonymous, to question that person. I mean, are you aware at all of if they're going down those roads and contacting those people, or is it sitting there as we want to just kind of leave it as this, maybe suicide thing?
I do know that the witness to the kidnapping account has been questioned and was treated with a fair amount of hostility, and so that individual acquired counsel, and the communication between police and this individual have not been great. Which is unfortunate. But I don't know. I don't know what transpired between them. I don't know what the police's view of things are. I want to say that I have no reason to believe that the police have bad intentions or are dishonest in any way. I fully support this investigation. All I want is the truth. I have cooperated with the police from day one and will continue to do so. I have no other priority besides getting to the bottom of this, getting to the truth of this investigation. And I want the police to succeed. I don't want there to be doubt on the police for this investigation. I don't want people to criticize them. I want people to help them.
Sure.
If this investigation takes a turn, some sinister turn where false evidence is presented or false allegations are made, then that'll be a different dynamic. But for now, as far as I can tell, they're just trying to do their job. And so I wish them
false allegations
and oftentimes
made.
in
What does that
investigations
mean?
like this, especially when it gets bizarre, Sometimes they are far more quiet because there's just so many pieces, and one doesn't want to tip someone off.
Right,
Shouldn't
it's
be tipped off
crazy,
in order
isn't
for
it?
them to get to point A to point B to C. So yeah, I mean, certainly we want them to get where they need to go.
And I don't know if you were
For a moment
here.
talk about one of the other.
I don't know if you were here earlier. This guy, the cop said, "Will you take a polygraph?" And he did, and he failed it. He failed it, and the cops told him that they thought that he was intentionally trying to trick the polygraph. And he admits it. He says, "Yeah, I was." Such an uncomfortable.
Really bizarre things, and that would be the camera footage of your brother. The last footage that we saw in that parking lot. Another one where getting into another vehicle, going back to the car, but leaving his things there and walking off camera. I mean, never to be seen again. That in itself right there was another, what is going on here? Like, if you're going to go for a walk, I mean, why wouldn't you grab your phone or those sort of things that you need? Just to walk off like that seemed very, very strange. I'm sure to you, I'm sure to anyone who knows him. When you bring up the DMT, that actually, I guess, would add a little more question to that. I'm sure maybe it's something you wonder about too, was, did he go into that vehicle? Speculation here. Did he go into that vehicle? Did he consume the DMT or some sort of substance?
Didn't.
And did that create the mindset that he was at to walk away from the car, and did something happen after that? But it doesn't explain him being
didn't
shot either.
Right. Well, my early account of the car, the morning meeting at the Aquatic Center,
Exactly,
was
Blonde
flawed,
PT.
and it was based on some misunderstanding. So I'll clarify that story.
Okay.
When I first heard the story of his car being on camera and a white SUV also coming into frame, the way it was described, I misunderstood.
Okay, did you hear what he said? He described this during the first interview that he did 6 months ago. So now here we are I think he did this interview like in November. Now he's telling you he was mistaken. So what he said previously about seeing his brother and the car at the location, getting in the Suburban with the other person, all wrong. So let's hear what the cops have now got him straight, and let's see what the real story is.
I did not see the footage. The footage was described to me in real time as it was being watched on a security camera the night of his disappearance. So first of all, it should be said that the camera footage is extremely blurry and unreliable.
But he didn't see
The
it.
reason we believe that it is a video of my brother is because he was wearing a fairly distinct outfit. He was wearing a black long sleeve shirt, button-up shirt, and light colored jeans. They were described as pale gray or pale blue. And he also drove a black Infiniti M sedan. So a car roughly fitting that description of that sedan pulls into frame at the Aquatic Center into a parking spot. And at some point, minutes after, a white SUV also pulls into frame, but is not apparently adjacent to my brother's car. And there is no apparent interaction between these two cars. But again, the footage is terrible. There's no audio. It's my understanding that the individual in the black sedan got out, and this individual had a black top and light colored pants on. So vaguely fitting my brother's clothing description, but hard to prove, and walks away. But this camera footage of this car in the spot where it was seen is not where his car was ultimately found. I thought it was initially. It is not. I do not know if the camera footage shows the car driving away. And I do not know if there's any camera footage of the car being brought again to the Aquatic Center to the place where it was ultimately found, which is in sort of a refuge area adjacent to the Aquatic
trash
Center.
place.
It's a public
He likes big words.
refuge dumping area with kind of a green fence. I don't know if there's any footage of his car being brought there. And so that's that.
Hey, microblew.
There is certainly no footage of him getting into a car. And again, the footage on that day, on that morning, is in question because of how blurry it is. So I don't even know if that video is relevant or not.
So when we've heard in the past that he got into another car in that
Yes,
parking
Kathy
lot,
R.
And then walked around his other car and then walked off camera.
It wasn't
that has
real.
been misinterpreted. Is that
No, he
accurate?
didn't
And
see
what
the
you
video. He
stated
just
there
went and talked on an interview and
what you
said something
believe that
completely
happened?
false.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no footage and there's no evidence that I'm aware of him getting into a
Okay,
car.
well, I have a question, Richard.
either
Pardon
by
me while I
eyewitness account.
think, but how can you say there's no footage, but that the visual is really blurry and of very poor quality? You just said there's no footage. I understand, Richard, that it is very irritating when someone's thinking and listening to you, but some of these things matter, and I can promise you that the cops are definitely listening.
Or by video recording, there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
Where would that?
As far as I know,
Is that something that you had speculated on early, or did that?
Yeah.
Was that okay? So that's where that initially came from.
I
Absolutely
never
true, AK.
said, nor did I ever believe that he got into a car. That was never said to me, nor did I ever relate that. I'm not really sure where
You
that
did
came
relate.
from.
Okay.
I know that some people wondered if he did, because in the
You
original
said it.
story, he parks a white SUV parks
Richard
within range of
loves
his car. The white SUV leaves, and then he gets around, walks away. That was the original account that I understood, and the one that I related to media. I never had an understanding or even a belief that he got into a car according to any of that evidence. Now, there were.
You said he got in the car and then he got out of the car and walked around for a few minutes.
Sightings of a fellow meeting his description. In one case, walking briskly on a walking path about a mile north or northeast of where his car was ultimately abandoned, sometime around, can't remember now, sometime around 11 or so, late morning. There was an account of somebody sitting in an black Infinity M at the Roaring River hatchery at around 10:30 or 11 that morning on his phone. And this tipster claimed that he definitely matched the photos that we circulated in his missing poster.
Well, the beautiful thing is this. If the good doctor was in fact sitting in his car at the hatchery on his phone, then GPS positioning will reveal that.
Photos. But no idea if these accounts are false, misunderstood, misremembered. I don't no idea if any of those. Yeah, I don't know if the police have followed up on any of that, found any evidence.
Sure, they
of that.
have. Don't worry about that.
Some of my family went to the Roaring River fishery to see if they had security cameras. They did, to see if they had footage. They did not have footage, unfortunately, as far as I know.
That was going to be my next question. Is obviously there's the one camera, but were there any others in the area that have been looked into and looked at to make sure that, or just to see what they could find, if anything there, right away?
And was there GPS information?
Of course there was.
That would be another one.
Ridiculous.
That
I'd love to know. There was a claim by an acquaintance of his that he had been to that aquatic center area where his car was found several times in the previous year. According to iPhone GPS sharing software.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's been able to be corroborated.
You don't need to corroborate.
I find that to be an incredible
GPS.
story. That's really bizarre. Also, there's a claim that he went on a fishing trip at some point. Don't know what time, what year, but fairly recently, to Beaver Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a photo of him on Beaver Lake with an acquaintance, and
we're going to forward all the telematics to
fishing,
AK.
apparently. When I was asked early on in the investigation, did my brother own a boat? Did he fish? I said absolutely not. He frankly had contempt for outdoor activities. He hated fishing and hiking, and he thought all that stuff was a waste of time and dirty and smelly.
And yet, Richard, they have photographs of your brother on a boat, fishing and smiling and having a great time being normal.
And but now I've got a photo of him on a fishing trip with an acquaintance, and it's at the place where his body was found, and I think that is extremely bizarre.
More bizarre
again, things I
than
didn't know.
quantum computing and Ukrainian crypto mobsters slinking through the piney woods of Arkansas. More bizarre than that? Or is it absolutely perfectly natural and expected and accepted that a guy from Idaho moves to South Missouri and decides to start fishing because every other man is fishing in South Mississippi, or not Mississippi, Missouri, at Beaver Lake, because Beaver Lake is a destination spot. More bizarre than that, Richard?
Yeah.
You know,
so much to try and wrap your mind around.
It really is, Tony.
Have you speculated if there was some sort of threat against your brother? I mean, because there's obviously levels of this that look almost like an organized crime type hit. We do know with things,
I feel really bad for the Ukrainians. You know what I mean?
The person that
the Ukrainians can't get a break. Ukraine's getting blamed for everything. Now we got them at Beaver Lake doing the poor guy in. It's a bad thing to be a Ukrainian in 2023.
That has angered someone, and that they're necessarily targeting, that they'll go after. It's more so a family member that they would go after to try and really hurt that person. Have you, and this is something that's run through my mind. I'm wondering if it has yours of, do you think there was a threat to him saying, look, it's you or your family? And he felt it was so
that didn't happen.
His family could get hurt, or a family member could get hurt, or someone that he loved. That
didn't happen.
He did, in fact, take his life
out
of fear, for some sort of threat like that.
It didn't happen that way, Tony.
Perspective that may be
Just
the
look
case.
At Richard.
I know so little. I have to keep an open mind. I find it difficult to believe that in his state of mind, days before his death, that he was contemplating death. I mean, look, he could have lifted the barest of fingers to manage his estate, and now his estate is in uncertainty. It's a mess. He's got a bunch of dependent kids who've got no source of protection here, and everything we work to build is crumbling because there's no continuity. There's no plan.
You said that he took all care of all of that just 48 hours before he went missing. That's all he could think about was the continuity and care of the business and empire that he had built upon the back of Bitcoin. You were the one that was given the keys to the kingdom, Richard. Remember all that? Now, suddenly, it's crumbling down around your ears, and you're powerless to fix it. And his kids are going to be without clothing and shoes. Come on, Richard. Where's the money, Richard? Tell us. Come on, Richard. Just give us a hint. One teeny little hint. Where is all of that big fat Bitcoin?
Plan for continuity here. So if he was contemplating his demise, then why didn't he do just the simplest of things to assure his estate?
Sure.
That blows my mind. Look, this is a guy who cared deeply about what he was involved with, his career, his kids, the cryptocurrency venture, his mathematical research, that he left nothing behind. That he didn't salvage anything or have any plan to maintain any of this is just speaks to me of a person who did not know he was going to go.
And in no way am I insinuating it was like, I'm really depressed, I want to leave it that way, but more
but that maybe he did it to save us. Well, he claimed that if he said more, if he divulged more, it would put others in danger. And so
Richard's trying really hard not to make that mistake. He's not going to be quiet if it's going to save his life. He's going to keep on talking. That's right.
Him as someone who is protecting others.
Yeah.
Could he have been belligerent the end, could he have basically just said, no, you're going to have to kill me because I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z. And that's why he died, and thinking that his death would secure the safety of those around him. Yeah, I suppose that's possible. This involves stories I've not been told yet. I would need to know what that story is. That's a crazy story, and what on earth is going on, and why did it go down that way?
It's fiction. Yeah. It didn't happen.
I do wonder if he died protecting us. If he did, I wish he'd given me a chance. You know,
we need a statue. We need a golden Oscar here.
I wish he'd give me a chance to do. The idea of trading his life for mine is absurd. Or for his kids, I can understand that, but I hope to God it wasn't about protecting me.
Yeah.
He was a great man. And, all brothers think so of their brothers, I suppose, but this is different. Yeah. This was a great human being by any objective measure, and with flaws. Yes, you can build your case against his personal character flaws or whatever, but
what? Whose character flaws? What is he? What did that mean? I have no idea what he just said. Why is he talking about what a great guy his brother is, and now he's saying, oh, his character flaws? What?
Balance. This was a great man,
without a doubt,
and his life was worth a lot. And I said on KY3, and I said at his funeral, I said that if these killers knew him, they wouldn't have done.
Did he say he was on? No.
On it. You cannot know this person and not love him, and you would not kill him if you loved him, and you would have if you knew him.
You won't kill him if you love him.
They don't know what they did. It's just an absurd loss. It's just a disgusting loss. Yeah. And anyway, what this could be about, I will say this, and I don't know much, but I'd like to say that it's important to me to say that the idea of kidnapping a prominent member of society, bringing him across state lines, executing him and throwing him on a tourist-filled lake on Memorial Day week is it's stupid.
Yeah,
no intelligent human being would formulate that plan
unless it was like a moment of anger.
Unless you suppose that you're above the law, unless that's the level.
Or
of
you
your
just
arrogance.
got really pissed off. Maybe
inviting international attention, potentially FBI investigations with
for sure
resources
FBI
that they seem to have, massive public attention, media attention. The certainty that his body will be found clearly murdered. This is an absurd plan unless that's the level of your arrogance, or unless that wasn't the plan.
Arrogant? Did he just say that he thought the killers were arrogant? I don't know. But look, many lives have been lost in a moment of anger. Right? Just this moment of explosive anger. You act out, the dirty deed is done, and then it's all about the cover up. Right, Barry? But that at one tiny moment of explosive anger, there's a lot more people that have died in that moment than have died in some elaborate plans that, included international travel and boats and guns and crypto, and much more likely that it was just a crime of passion. Much more likely. Yeah, exactly, Lise. Think Big Rich had, I don't know. Blonde. Okay. So you get the point, right? I mean, this is pretty uncomfortable. To me, this was much more uncomfortable interview than the first couple that he did. And I would have thought as the months went by that things would have kind of calmed down and there would have been less talk, kind of drawing this parallel to 007 Bond, James Bond. You know, it's too much, too weird.
I suppose if it wasn't the plan, then the plan was another kidnapping and negotiation. Like what happened in 2022? They kidnapped the guy. They threaten him. They seek compliance in some form. He's got something they want, or they want him to stop doing something, or whatever it is. And so they take him down to this place for this discussion. Maybe that's where he was brought when he was kidnapped. I don't know. Maybe that's where these people live, or maybe they rented a boathouse on the lake. I told the police, I said I'd start my investigation with rentals on Beaver Lake.
Oh, was that where you'd start the investigation?
Rich? An acquaintance, but either way, that's where I'd start. And it seems to me like he was killed where he was, and he was dumped where he was because that's just how things went down, not because it was the plan.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. I mean, what kind of an idiot formulates that plan? That's a terrible, terrible plan.
I don't know. I kind of like the plan, Rich. It's kind of, I mean, it worked, right? It must have been a good plan. It seemed like it worked. Gave the guy 9 days to develop a lie or to get the hell out of Dodge before they ever found him. So apparently it worked. But the problem, here's the big problem. The big problem is a failed polygraph. That's important. It's also a big problem that you started this little tour junket for saying that he had given you the keys to the kingdom and that he had already made all the plans for the continuity of the care of the company and that you were the beneficiary to all this, and that mom got an expensive gift, that he was such a great human being, that he took care of his business. He made sure everybody was taken care of. 24 hours later, he's dead, and you can't find the will or the new paperwork. It's weird. And meanwhile, back at the ranch, you got baby number 9 being born to a woman that he was madly in love with. So there's a lot wrong with this story, but it's not Beaver Lake, because that seems to be the only part of the story that did work.
Unless you are so above the law that you have contempt for it, and you're, I don't know what, trying to send a message or something, some kind of absurd, arrogant message to whom? I don't know, because message not received. I have no idea what this message is supposed to be. But we've wondered, could law enforcement have done this? Could this be
law enforcement?
We think are meant to protect us? I have no specific reason to believe that, but lacking evidence, the mind wanders to crazy places.
Wait a minute. This man failed a polygraph, and he literally just suggested that the police killed the doctor? Why? You know, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, AK. The only person that has not been named as the potential killer is God. This guy is staying neck and neck with Barry, except for we haven't invoked the name of God yet. The crypto company is only worth 2.4 million. This is tiny in the crypto space. Absolutely. Here's the deal though, AK. The brother, the guy that died, he purchased a large block of Bitcoin on its first offering right out of the gate. So he purchased this Bitcoin, and it just, he just rode it all the way to the moon. So he was actually featured. The doctor was featured in Forbes Magazine, multi-millionaire based on the Bitcoin. This ONFO coin was, pie in the sky, kind of little side hustle, little side gig.
Like that. At this point, we have no idea who did this, but you've got to look at what happened and try to figure out what kind of a person would do this and why. And man, I'll tell you, kidnapping a prominent member of society, taking them across state lines, why would you do that? That is just such a stupid thing to do. And then putting them in a touristy place after killing them, obviously execution style. Come on. This is crazy behavior.
I mean, to try and make sense of something like that, if you knew the area, I would think you'd be making better choices. It almost leads
Right.
one to believe that if this was someone from a different place in the country, in the world, and they're looking for, well, here's a lake, state
Yeah.
lines be damned, whatever, we're going to do what we're going to do.
Hey,
That could,
Tony.
I think, make some sense.
Tony.
At
Right,
least
we're hightailing
You
it
know
back to
where it was
wherever us from, or
found.
wherever you're from, and so we're going to be.
Listen, Tony, you had to park the car, and then you had to get out of the car, and you had to walk down a path over a mile to get to the location that they believe that the doctor was shot. So you should stay with your first instinct, Tony. It's the right one. Somebody local that knew the lake, that had been there, and knew that it wasn't an area that other people could see. It wasn't a Ukrainian that had come to town for a little bit of mischief.
A million miles from justice.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's their thought.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So many things to speculate. Have you felt that you are in any sort of danger since this happened? Has there been any weird communication? I mean, obviously there's weirdos out there that watch true crime and will, make their comments. And I'm sure you've been seeing that from time to time. But other than that, have you felt any sort of danger or any sort of message from who might have done this?
No, there was a white SUV scoping out my house the day after my brother disappeared.
Oh, well, what?
And when I approached it, it zoomed away. But
he said there was a white, look at that face. There was a white SUV scoping out his house in the days after his brother was killed. Incidentally, remember, there was a white SUV parked next to his brother in the grainy, blurry film footage that doesn't exist, that he never saw. But that white Suburban is still there, people. Don't lose the plot.
And when I approached it, it zoomed away. But I think that was probably law enforcement. I've not been approached by anyone. I've not been threatened by anyone, and I'm not hiding anything. I first of all, I've got nothing to hide. And second, I'm not hiding anything to protect others. I'm not in my brother's position whatsoever. If someone approached me and threatened me and tried to play that same game, I already know where that leads. That's not going to work. So I'd go to authorities or the media.
Sure.
Because look, you're going to threaten me and mine, and I'm supposed to believe that you honor your arrangements. I don't believe in that anymore. So yeah, I am not hiding any information. No one's threatening me or my family, as far as I know. And I say this honestly, I know less today than on the day it disappeared. I don't know what the heck is going on.
Well, the cops said they know everything.
If you could put a magic, fire behind something or someone, the way you see it, to get some progress here in this investigation, what would that fire be? Who'd you be putting it behind to get some more traction, assuming that things are sitting where they're at right now?
I have no real insight into what needs to be done to solve this case. One of the things that I'm concerned about, and I told the investigating police very early on in this investigation, that this is potentially a very challenging investigation because my brother and I have been in the regular practice of encrypting our data and our communications on a very high level. And
Jesus
my brother,
Christ.
John, is someone who is very capable of hiding information and of being very secretive. If say the communications between him and some bad guys are a matter of end-to-end digital encrypted communication, then I don't think there is a solution. I don't think you can crack that. I don't think you can get at that data. Unless someone comes forward and offers it because they have access to it. If this is about secret files or secret data, or if this is about cryptocurrency that's behind, a private key, I don't know how the heck we're supposed to get at this.
Oh, they'll figure
Because
it
this
out.
stuff can't be brute forced as far as I know, not until this quantum horizon is reached.
Oh, okay.
And then we may see
I'm
some
pretty
things, but I
sure
don't know
the
if there will be
FBI's
the
got
budget or the
this.
will to continue this investigation at that point, unless we've already, I'm mumbling, but I don't know where that's going to go. But I told him, I said, this is going to be tough. If this is a matter of digital encryption and encrypted communication, which my brother was regularly in the habit of engaging in, then they're not going to get that information. If these guys are crypto guys, then they're high-tech folks. And you're not going to figure this out through getting access to digital files. This stuff is beyond your reach. I mean, I don't even think the FBI, the NSA can get this kind of data.
The
And
NSA?
we're meant to believe they've got, magical levels of abilities to intrude on
It
digital
certainly
encryption, but
can.
I don't think they can get at this stuff unless we have a very, very flawed view of data intrusion or encryption intrusion methods and resources being held by the government or private individuals. So this is tough. This is a guy who is very secretive, very capable of being secretive, and if he wanted to hide information, or if he felt that destroying information was in the best interests of his family and friends, then he would have done so.
This is like the 2023 version of James Bond Octopussy, isn't it? It is very strange. It is very strange.
So this is a tough dude to follow. This is going to be a hell of a headache. And the family's been talking about getting private investigators. If this criminal investigation doesn't lead to a good conclusion, we've talked about continuing the investigation privately, and I've warned the family we could spend a lot of money and get almost nowhere with this.
Well,
so.
you certainly could. Is there?
Well, it's a bit reminiscent of Charlie Adelson's eyes, right? The way he darts, blinks and squeezes his eyes while he's talking. Yeah, I get it. I see that.
Any concern, though, as well, if you were to go down that road of hiring a private investigator, that you could be rattling a hornet's nest as well, and
right.
putting your all selves at danger.
I thought of that. I've thought of that.
Why are you feeding
we're
the bear,
determined to
big
get
guy?
answers, but I don't know what the price will be. I really don't, and I don't know who we're up against.
Mark Gillespie is a great investigator.
I have nothing to back this. I'm just floating a concept. But if this is, say, a foreign state entity, we're up against big resources and potentially some very determined and skilled individuals. Potentially individuals with contacts and resources that we can't match.
The damn Ukrainians? Who are you up against? Who are the skilled, creative people that you guys are up against? Like, who are they? Because the cops have told you it's nobody outside of Arkansas. Occam's razor is a real thing.
Around. I don't know. If this is organized crime, same deal. They may not appreciate us poking around for answers and looking to give those answers to media.
Yeah.
My hope is with God. I mean, at this point, I'm not trying to get mushy, folks, but that's what my hope is in. We need a miracle.
Damn it,
someone to come
AK.
forward, maybe.
He invoked
somebody
God.
I mean, probably multiple individuals know something.
That's incredible.
Please come
he actually
forward
did it.
If you can do so safely, please do so. Please help this family. We are grieving so heavily. We're going through so much pain, and doubt, and even fear over all of this.
There you go, boys. He did it.
We're in hell. I've never been through so much emotional pain in my life. We beg the public, please help. Go to the authorities or come to us. And
God did it. There
whatever
you go.
Can do.
Richard, thank you for coming on today and sharing this absolute.
That is a very sincere, disturbed person right there. So also this interview comes with the message that John Forsyth was a real person. And I feel really bad for whatever it was that happened. My heart is broken for his fiance, and especially for the baby, for the 8 children in Idaho, for the cheated on wife who's now divorced twice from the same guy. I mean, this was a domestically, this was a messy maelstrom of just bad behavior and decision. But that's the that's real sadness. That's real, loss. But this whole Ukrainian mobsters searching out a rural emergency room doctor come on, just stop. Just quit. It's just enough. And for goodness sake, get yourself an attorney. Like, in truth, you need an attorney. You need an attorney. You really do. All right. So there we have it. So what do you guys think? Moonlight View's killing me. Then blinked his eyes in Morse code, spelling the word torture and confirming the first time to the U.S. Naval Intelligence that American POWs were being tortured. True story. Absolutely. Maybe that's what was going on with Charlie Adelson. Maybe somebody needs to look for Morse code in Charlie's blinks on his eyes. Good idea. Fancy Nancy. Very funny. Okay. So look, it is a horrible situation. I mean, and it is a great mystery for certain. But there's so much about the situation that you recognize, no, this is not professional hitmen that came from outside of Missouri or Arkansas. For example, why would a professional hitman who's capable of traveling from the Ukraine or the Eastern Europe bloc, why would they take the chance of moving locations? Why wouldn't they just walk into the trailer, pop a couple of caps where the sun don't shine, and get in their car and go back to Ukraine? Why wouldn't they do that? So no, this wasn't a professional hit job. There was no video of the doctor walking around by the trash bin and a white Suburban pull up. That didn't happen. He failed the polygraph. The cops have told him in an ominous manner, we know everything, Richard. The cops have not questioned other family members at all, but he has been interviewed multiple times. You heard the guy who's telling the story that John was kidnapped last year. That guy, he was treated badly by the cops. They were really aggressive, and he ended up having to get an attorney for his own. What does that tell you? So stay tuned, people, because as many interviews as this guy has gone on and done, and newspaper articles, and he cannot stop talking. He can't stop talking. So I don't know. It's really uncomfortable. So what is the big takeaway for everybody? What's the one bit of information that sort of was your mic drop? Like the information that you thought, wow, that's going to be hard to get past that one. Moonlight View. Simply got to be more complicated than that, right? Well, there's that part too. I didn't even talk about like the whole body language and whatnot. But yeah, he does seem to be really, really triggered. And those micro expressions at just a couple of really notable places were pretty profound. His sisters know, and he knows that they know. So do you think he's estranged from his family, or do you think that they're all, being supportive of him? Maybe, Lady of Angels. He said, the family I speak to. Oh, I missed that voice. All of a sudden, another white vehicle outside of his house, and then he says it was the cops. Yep. Koberger's sisters knew just how warped he was. He got angry discussing how he was left out from what John told his sisters. He let that out, mic drop as to motive. No bets on that, Kathy. Remember, this is the United States of America. He is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Right now, today, as it stands, he's not even a person of interest. He hasn't even been named. The only thing that we can talk about that says, hey, it looks like the cops are after this guy is from his very own mouth. From him coming on and doing these interviews, he's telling everybody the cops think that I did it or that I had something to do with it. From his own mouth. He needs to stop. He needs to quit talking, quit doing interviews, get an attorney. But at this point, I think it's too much. It's done at this point. Eight kids, Alexandra, but there is a baby. The 9th child is a baby. She was born June, I think maybe the 28th, 25th, 28th, the right before the end of the month she was born. Just 4 weeks after he went missing. And maybe Bigfoot did it, Cinnamon. Yeah. I thought the polygraph information was fascinating. I thought that was really interesting. And he used distancing language, talking about his brother John. He does refer to him as this guy. We're talking about a guy. Well, no, it's your brother, right? So yeah, he did do that. Look, Moonlight View, damn it. His hair is being blown by unseen winds. Okay, just like John Travolta. All right, it's just the way it is. It's a burden that good-looking men have to carry. You know what I mean? His whole identity was connected to his brother. And when his brother was going to disconnect, that was the catalyst that pushed Rich over the edge. His identity was then at risk. Well, his paycheck too, maybe. I mean, I don't know, but perhaps. Maybe, Diane. Lady of Angels. Well, it's sort of like an old villain, right? AK said that he feels Big Rich's hair pain. That's okay, Alexandra. Yeah, he looks like the old, what was that cartoon that had the little convict that was on there with him, wore the striped outfit? What was that that cartoon, Bill?
What?
Was he Dracula or? I can't, come look. You'll have to look and see. The landlord that ties the lady to the railroad tracks. That's it, Shalmar. See that guy? He looks like that old cartoon when we were kids. Remember, I think he wore black and he had the little teeny mustache. He had like a little convict guy.
He's off Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Rocky and Bullwinkle. Do you remember his name?
No, but if you Google Rocky and Bullwinkle,
You think I'll find it?
He's the spy, has a big tall lady.
Oh, he's a spy. Okay. Oh, well, that fits perfectly.
He's a Russian spy.
He's a Russian spy. That is rich. Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Boris or Borlaug?
I think it was Boris. Boris Spy. Let's see if we can find it. Yes. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
His name is Boris Badenov.
Boris Badenov. He kind of does look like that. I'm not sure that's the little guy I'm thinking of, though. Anyways, that is good.
Could be Snipply Whiplash if you put a top hat on.
Snipply Whiplash?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one looks pretty good. That was on Dudley Do Right. Yeah. We're being really unproductive here, people. We have lost sight of the goal here. Now we're just like laughing and having fun, but that's okay. It's a worthwhile endeavor, right? Let's see. Hold on. I'm going to show y'all something. What do y'all think? Boris Badenov. Snidley. We did. We lost the plot. But the goal is to have fun, right? And we have that has been accomplished. I think everyone is waiting for him. The family's probably scared. Yeah, Lise, I think that's the one. Yeah, absolutely. But I am intrigued. I am intrigued by this communication by Morse code with your eyes. Dudley Do Right. The Morse code with your eyeballs. We gotta look into that, right? Totally gonna look into it. Do you know, AK, if you're right about that, if we do that, if we take a video of Charlie Adelson doing his testimony on the stand, and then it turns out that the dude is indeed communicating with Morse code, AK, you will be YouTube famous, dude. Like you will be a made man if that happens. You need to get with Tube Crime. Y'all need to make that happen. Talk about a noble goal. There's your noble goal. Boris Badenov. Y'all are so funny. Hey, honey K. No doubt when the day comes that he does have an attorney, he will die when they see these interviews. Oh, the attorney will have a conniption. Yeah. No, you will never have to do OnlyFans ever again, AK. You can reclaim your dignity, sir. 3 short taps followed by 3 long taps, and then 3 short taps again, dot and dash. A dot is a quick blink. He's got lots of dots. And a dash is a slow blink. RTO. All right, we're going to make it happen. Going to totally make it happen. Have to work on it. The mothers are going to need family support. I hope his family is better. I think it's a great family, Alexandra. I think it's a wonderful family all the way around. So I don't know. They're well regarded, well respected. The kids are all doing great. You know, it's a good group of people. It's a mystery. Okay. Do y'all know how long we've been doing this? 3 hours. 3 crazy hours. But let me ask you something. Was it fun? We had fun, didn't we? It was very interesting. And so now you know what AK is going to be working on. He's going to try to decode the blinks of Charlie Adelson's eyes. We'll see what message Charlie was sending to the world. Maybe AK. It was a nice night, Lady of Angels. Absolutely. 3 hours. Did I get your emails? I don't think so, Voice. Well, first let me ask this. What email address? Black sheep down. I don't know. I don't think so. He keeps talking about his dad. I mean, I don't know. But please remember, everyone is innocent till proven guilty in a court of law. This guy's not even a named suspect. And the only thing that we know about the cops and him is what he himself has put out there. If he wasn't talking about the cops and what they're doing, then we wouldn't know all this. We wouldn't know about the polygraph. We wouldn't know about any of it. Blink, long blink, short blink, sniff, long blink. Fools and Sages Voice for the voices. I'll check it after we finish here, okay? Yeah, that's Berry code, not Morse code, but Berry code. All right. Oh, I'm glad you were here, Alexandra. I had fun. I appreciate everything you said. All right. So sincerely, we are now at 2 hours and 57 minutes. We are 2 hours longer than I ever dreamed that this whole thing would take, but it was filled with ridiculity, wasn't it? All right. You guys, please hit the thumbs up and sorry, wrong one. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you another day. Y'all have a good evening. Sleep well. AK, we're going to be waiting on that video. Y'all have a good night. Bye.